Hi guys, so for this video I'm using Land brand yarn in size 6, super bulky, and knitting needles in size 12 millimeters. So I'll start by leaving a long tail, then I'll make a slip knot, and now we need to cast on multiples of 2. This one already counts as 1. So I just casted on 26 stitches, and now for row 1 I'll turn my work around, and now I'll start by purling the first stitch, then I'll purl the next stitch, and just like this we'll continue purling every stitch throughout row 1. If you find it difficult to purl the way I do, just continue purling the way you know how. However you know how to purl, that will be fine. Just continue purling. So this completes row 1. Now for row 2 I'll turn my work around, and then I will knit this first stitch. And it goes same for knitting, just knit the way you know how. You don't have to knit exactly the way I do. So we'll knit this first stitch, and then see right here between these stitches we'll insert our needle, wrap the yarn around our needle and pull through. Now this first stitch right here, we'll just pass it over to our right needle. Again, now between these next 2 stitches I'll insert my needle, wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through, and in this first stitch we'll just pass it over into our right needle. Again, now between these next 2 stitches, see this loop right here, we'll insert our needle right there, we'll wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through, and then this first stitch right here we just pass it into our right needle. Again, now between these next 2 stitches right here we'll insert our needle, we'll wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through. Now this first stitch we just pass it over into our right needle. So we repeat this throughout row 2. So now that we have reached the end of row 2, as you can see, we have only 2 stitches left. So right here between these 2 stitches, I'll insert my needle, I'll wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through. Then I'll pass this first stitch into our needle. Then I will just purl this last stitch. So this completes row 2. Now for row 3, we'll turn our work around, and then we'll knit this first stitch, and then we'll just move this yarn in front of our work, and now we are going to purl these 2 stitches. Some people purl this way, but I find it easier to purl from back. And just continue purling the way you know how. So don't panic, just purl the way you know how. So yeah, we'll purl these next 2 stitches together. Purl the 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 next 2 stitches together. So basically we'll continue purling the next 2 stitches together until we reach the end of row 3. So now that we are at the end of row 3, we only have 1 stitch left, so we'll just purl that last stitch. So this completes row 3. Now for row 4, we'll turn our work around. So here for the pattern, we'll just have to repeat rows 2 and 3, but I'll show you 2 more rows. So now again for row 4 we repeat row 2. So we'll start by knitting this first stitch, then right there between these next 2 stitches, you see this loop right here, we insert our needle right there, we wrap the yarn around our needle and pull through. Then this first stitch, we'll just pass it over into our right needle. Again now between these next 2 stitches, you see this loop right here? Well, we insert our hook right there. It's like 1 row below basically. And we wrap the yarn around our needle and pull through. Now this first stitch, we'll just pass it over into our right needle. Again now, between these next 2 stitches, see? 1 row below. We insert our needle right there. We wrap the yarn around our needle and pull through. Now this first stitch, we'll just pass it over into our right needle. Again now, between these next 2 stitches, 1 row below, we insert our needle right there, wrap the yarn around the needle, pull through. Then this first stitch right here, we'll pass it over into our right needle. So we repeat this throughout row 4. Now that we are at the end of row 4, we have 2 more stitches left. So right there between these 2 stitches, 1 row below, I insert my needle, wrap the yarn around the needle and pull through. Now this stitch right here, I just pass it over into my red needle, and then I will just purl this last stitch. So this completes row 4. And now for row 5 we repeat row 3. So we'll turn our work around, and then I will knit this first stitch, and I will just move this yarn in front of my work. Then I'll purl these next 2 stitches. I'll purl the next 2 stitches. I'll purl the next 2 stitches. So we'll just continue purling 2 stitches at a time throughout row 5. And now that we are at the end of row 5, we have only 1 stitch left, so we just purl that last stitch. So this completes row 5. So as I said before, for the pattern we repeat rows 2 and 3. So we repeat rows 2 and 3 for the pattern, and after a few rows our work will look like this.